Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, I'll be covering the tornado outbreak that is possible here on Tuesday across the Midwest all the way to the Mid-South. Then we'll be looking at the major April blizzard with up to 2 feet of snow and whiteout conditions across the northern plains and upper Midwest. Then we'll also be looking at the long-range weather pattern toward the end of this video as we go towards the middle of April. But if you guys are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on all of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. on this channel. I cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics during tropical weather season, so be sure to hit the subscribe button down below, and don't forget to press the thumbs up button. The like button, definitely much appreciated, and it gets as many views on this video as possible the more likes we get, so I definitely appreciate that here, especially with severe weather season kicking off, so I definitely appreciate all the subscribers and the likes. But going back to Friday again, with that tornado number actually did rise. We're up to 95 tornadoes back on Friday with that tornado outbreak, 342 wind reports and 169 hail reports on Friday. And then Saturday across the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, we had 4 tornadoes reported, 256 wind reports and 19 hail reports on Saturday. And then now going to yesterday on Sunday, April 2nd, we had no tornadoes, but we still had 12 wind reports and 30 hail reports for a total of 42 severe weather reports back on Sunday across North Texas and getting over into Northwest Louisiana on Sunday. And just to put this in perspective of how active it has been over the past 3 days, this is the total 3 days of storm reports. In that 3-day period, we've had 99 tornadoes in the United States, 610 damaging wind reports, 218 large hail reports, and just during that 3-day period, we are just shy of 1,000 storm reports. So very impressive, very active weather pattern that we have been in, and that continues through today. The Storm Prediction Center on their day 1 probabilistic outlooks have actually shown 3 separate areas we're watching for severe weather, with the most noteworthy across southern Alabama into northwest Florida with that yellow outline. That is a level 2 of 5, a slight risk, but we still have a marginal risk up here toward portions of central Illinois into northern Indiana, and another area here from southeastern Oklahoma and toward the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, all the way down toward the San Antonio region on this afternoon. Looking at the tornado threat, we do have the damaging winds and large hail, but the tornado threat is there as well. So we have a 5% shading of tornadoes across southern Alabama and northwest Florida, even a small 2% shading here for an isolated brief tornado across the DFW Metroplex on southward here toward Waco, Texas through this afternoon and this evening. So looking at the setup for today, all those very warm, moist dew points will be working farther up to the north here from the Gulf of Mexico. These dew points will be in the low 70s all across the Arklatex. And then that warm front will be up here across central Illinois. That will mainly be a hail type of threat up here in toward the Peoria region, getting over towards South Bend, Gary, Indiana, as it's right along that warm front. More elevated type of storms with dew points in the 40s and 50s up here, but then a much stronger threat here with more of an enhancement to those dew points across southern Alabama and northwest Florida. We have moderately strong mid-level winds here in the jet stream, so we're not seeing overly strong shear values, so these storms will be moving a little bit slower this afternoon. So we're already seeing the continuation of the storms that move through North Texas. That continues to rumble across the deep south here through this morning. By noon time frame, these will be across southeastern Alabama, western Georgia, especially the southernmost of these cells will be likely producing damaging winds, large hail, and maybe a couple of tornadoes. That will continue through the afternoon and toward the 6 o'clock hour here, getting into portions of southwest Georgia, northwest Florida. Again, damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, some large hail over quarter size, and maybe a couple of brief spin-up tornadoes will definitely be on the table across those areas. But you notice back off to the west, we don't have a lot of development back here across southeastern Oklahoma toward the Dallas-Fort Worth area, even down towards San Antonio or up into central Illinois. We definitely have a cap that is on the atmosphere. It's the very shallow warm layer aloft, and it's definitely preventing the thunderstorms from forming this afternoon, and that cap actually strengthens, especially down here into the southern plains tonight. So it's going to really suppress a lot of those those thunderstorms. So it's more of a conditional risk up here across central Illinois, and then especially down here into toward the DFW Metroplex into southeastern Oklahoma as we get into late this afternoon and tonight. But nonetheless, as we go to Tuesday morning, not too bad. We got some rainfall farther up to the north. That's along that warm frontal boundary here across portions of the of New York State, getting over toward Boston here, farther to the south, just some sprinkles, a couple of showers into the Outer Banks of North Carolina. But you see the storm system up across the northern plains. That's the snow system we're watching as we get towards the middle of this week. And that's the system we're watching. The parent system, or the parent trough, is back here across the west here going through today. And that the past 24 hours, we've seen a lot of snowfall back here across portions of western Washington state, getting down through western Oregon, and then some of the higher elevations of Idaho, western Montana, into western Wyoming as well. And we're going to be adding to those totals as well. So you see a lot of these areas into those higher elevations seeing over 6 inches across the Pacific Northwest over the past 24 hours. And speaking of adding to those totals, we're going to see more snowfall with more of an organizing system here, with a low pressure system down to 995 into eastern portions of Utah this afternoon. So you can bet we could see some snow in Salt Lake City, up there towards Cheyenne, Wyoming, maybe even the Rapid City, South Dakota area. And that will continue as we head in towards this evening. We're still going to be seeing some snow showers across the majority of the higher elevations in the Pacific Northwest here tonight. That continues through Tuesday morning, but more of the intense snowfall will be more across portions of Wyoming into the Dakotas, and then maybe a mixed zone of some snow, sleet, and rain into northern parts of Nebraska going into Tuesday morning commute out there. So definitely want to watch out for that. So additional snowfall accumulations from now through Tuesday. Definitely some decent snows from Salt Lake City on up here into southern and eastern Wyoming and parts of far southwestern South Dakota. A lot of these areas will be seeing up to a foot of snow over the next 24 hours. But then that system starts driving its way eastward into the central plains on Tuesday before ejecting up across the upper Midwest and southern Canadian provinces on Wednesday. And you notice to the east, we got a warm up, some ridging to the east, and that is concerning. With the clash in the air masses, we got yet again another level 4 or 5, a moderate risk of severe weather, and we definitely have to take this seriously on Tuesday across parts of eastern Iowa, northeast Missouri, into west central Illinois. A couple enhanced risks as well up toward the Rockford area, getting down toward Peoria, Illinois, just east of Kansas City there and toward Des Moines. And then another enhanced risk farther to the south across southern Missouri, the Little Rock area, Fort Smith, Fayetteville, and then all the way down toward Texarkana as we get through Tuesday afternoon and evening. So looking at the probabilities, we have a 15 to 30% probability in the yellow and red shaded colors up here for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour on Tuesday. We also have a pretty active dry line as well, so we'll have some large hailers up here into portions of Iowa, Missouri, including the Kansas City area, all the way south here to northeast Texas. We're going to be watching out for some hailstones over 2 inches in diameter on Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday night. But then more of a concern is the tornado threat. We actually have a 15% hatched risk for tornadoes up here that could be strong and long track across eastern Iowa, northeast Missouri, into west central Illinois. And I do feel this could be expanding a little farther to the east with the more, more of the updates through today and into early on tomorrow. And even a 10% shading of tornadoes with the hatched risk down here across southern Missouri, Arkansas, including, again, unfortunately, the Little Rock area, getting back toward Fayetteville, Fort Smith, and then the Texarkana area into northeast Texas there, getting in towards Tuesday afternoon and evening. So looking at the setup, again, we want to realize why we're seeing this severe weather. So we have all of this anomalously warm temperatures. We got a warm frontal boundary that will be slowly lifting to the north across the southern Great Lakes on Tuesday. It will take a while, but Chicago will warm up into the 60s, central Illinois into the lower 80s there, and even middle 80s all the way up into Missouri. So a very volatile atmosphere thermodynamically, and you can see the dew points will be surging to the north Tuesday morning with that warm front reaching central Illinois, and then by the afternoon that will surge into eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, perhaps as far north as the Illinois-Wisconsin state line, into northern Indiana here. And that is going to spell trouble for severe weather, especially when you look at the CAPE values, or convective available potential energy. all the way up into eastern Iowa, northeast Missouri, and northern Illinois. Those are the highest values found on Tuesday here, around 2,000 to locally 3,000 joules per kilogram, which is moderate to strong instability. And we're going to be on the right exit region of a very powerful mid-level jet streak as well. So we're definitely seeing a lot of these kinematics and thermodynamics coming together. And then you also have to look at the low-level jet stream, and that will be ramping up, especially Tuesday late afternoon into the evening hours. That is when the low-level jet is most active. So looking at all those dynamics, we do see something called a significant tornado parameter, and those are very high values up here across eastern Iowa, northeast Missouri, but especially northern Illinois here. Some of these values are hitting pretty hard, up to around 5, 6s, and even higher than that toward the top end of the scale. So this is a threat we definitely have to take seriously Tuesday afternoon. And I did actually take a sounding up here across the northern Illinois vicinity, and you do see a very sickle-shaped hodograph that is almost elongated, and that is a PDS tornado tag, which means some strong and violent tornadoes would be possible in this environment. We do have a little bit of a capping inversion where you see the reds and greens come together here on the graph, but that is definitely a nice hail growth zone. So definitely some damaging hail where the reds and greens are farther apart from each other with the drier air in the mid levels. And looking at this at the noon time frame on Tuesday, all is quiet. We got the capping inversion in place. Again, that shallow warm layer aloft. We got the snow up to the northwest across the Dakotas and the cold side of the system. And then boom, by mid-afternoon, 3 o'clock, the HRRR model has been consistently showing some widespread supercell thunderstorms developing and surging to the northeast as we get through Tuesday afternoon into the dinner time frame at 6 p.m. across portions of the Rockford area, Davenport, Quad Cities, maybe as far north as southern Wisconsin, the Chicagoland area, Peoria. We definitely have to be on the lookout for this going into Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. And then again, Tuesday evening, we're going to focus our threat into the secondary area down here across the southern plains and the Arklatex. These areas will have some very high significant tornado parameter values as well, over 4. So definitely concerning down toward the Little Rock area, Fort Smith, and Texarkana by Tuesday evening. And you can see, again, the cap will be in place, but if we can break through that, we definitely could be seeing some supercells down here across western Arkansas on 6 o'clock on Tuesday. Then as we go through Tuesday evening, again, more of the same, some scattered strong to severe storms from southern Illinois through southern Missouri, northern Arkansas, and that does include the Little Rock, Jonesboro area through the evening hours. And then we try to initiate a squall line back here into portions of Missouri all the way south into Oklahoma after midnight going in towards Wednesday morning. Then as we go into Wednesday, that cold front and severe weather shifts a little bit farther to the east. We have a slight risk across portions of the eastern Great Lakes and then down into the Ohio Valley with that marginal risk extending down into Tennessee, northern Alabama, much of Mississippi, Louisiana, and down toward the coastal Texas regions for Beaumont and the Houston area into Texas on Wednesday. And we have a 15% hatched area for possibly some damaging hail, widespread hurricane force winds, and potentially a couple strong tornadoes across portions of the Detroit area, getting into Toledo, Columbus, Ohio, up here toward Dayton, and then over into northwestern Pennsylvania and western New York State over toward the Buffalo area on Wednesday afternoon. And again, much of the same setup. We have temperatures back into the 70s Wednesday afternoon all the way up into the Toronto area. So definitely a deep warm sector with this system, and the dew points will be in the low 60s. So a lot of thermodynamics coming together again on Wednesday, April 5th. And then again, you see that cold front shifting east here, bringing in the drier air. So the clash in the air masses will be on Wednesday as well. And an even more powerful mid-level jet as that trough strengthens into the southern Canadian provinces and upper Great Lakes. We're going to have a lot of wind shear up here, and that low-level jet is going to be screaming out of the southwest. So a lot more wind shear here on Wednesday. I definitely could see this going to an enhanced risk as we get a little bit closer, just looking at some of the dynamics here. But 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we got storms from Detroit and Toronto all the way south toward the New Orleans region and even the Houston area by early to mid-afternoon. That continues to slowly meander off to the east here across the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, and the Mid-South by the 7 o'clock hour Wednesday evening. And then as we go into the Thursday morning time frame, that cold front again slowly but surely pushes across the eastern two-thirds of the country. We got kind of a line of some heavy rain here setting up from coastal Texas, the Corpus Christi area, Victoria, up there towards Houston, getting up through Jackson, Mississippi, Nashville, Charleston, West Carolina, West Virginia rather. And that's what we're going to be seeing going into Tuesday morning, and much of the same even into Thursday night as well. So definitely something to watch out for during this period. But you notice eventually we're going to see the high pressure system work in across the Midwest and put an end to this active weather pattern. But now, before we have to talk about the snow side of the system, we got winter storm watches, blizzard warnings, winter storm warnings all across the northern plains, upper Midwest, all the way back to the Rockies here. And you can see those winter storm watches extend up toward the Duluth area, north central Minnesota, just northwest of Minneapolis, St. Paul, the eastern Dakotas, and then in the orange here, those are blizzard warnings across the central and western Dakotas, where we're going to see heavy snowfall rates and very strong winds on the system's backside on Wednesday especially. And then even those winter storm warnings in the pink shaded colors across southeastern Montana into eastern Wyoming and extreme northwestern portions of Nebraska as we go through the middle of this week. And this is why we have some very heavy snowfall accumulations coming from now all the way through the middle of the week on Wednesday, April 5th. A very rare type of setup here where we could see multiple areas getting over a foot of snow, even up to 2 feet of snow into portions of the Rapid City area, getting back here into eastern Wyoming near the Cheyenne, Wyoming area, and extreme northwestern Nebraska. So definitely a widespread area seeing 1 to 2 feet of snow in this red and orange shaded color. And again, even across northern Minnesota, seeing 6 to 8 inches is definitely a good bet up here as we go through the middle of the week. And with the winds on the backside, northwesterly winds will be sustained throughout the day on Wednesday, especially Wednesday afternoon and evening, out of the northwest at 20 to 30 miles per hour. And we could be mixing down some of these winds in the low levels in the 850 millibar layer of the atmosphere down toward the surface, with gusts that could be over 40, if not 50 miles per hour across much of the Dakotas, getting into western Minnesota on Wednesday afternoon into early evening. And this will be causing some major, if not extreme, travel impacts here from the Bismarck, Fargo area all the way south and westward towards Rapid City and Cheyenne, Wyoming, going through this heart of the Dakotas, getting back into eastern Wyoming through the middle of the week. So if you have any travel plans out here, I do highly recommend you reconsider travel here at least until the end of the week, because it will be very snowy and a lot of whiteout conditions across these areas. Going through the long-range weather pattern, we see a big pattern change toward this second week in April, starting April 8th through the 12th. We have a ridge starting to build across the west. I know we've had a lot of troughs out here recently with the cooler weather. A nice welcome sight with more ridging and warmer temperatures across portions of California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, and Idaho out here. That continues even into the middle of April, all the way through April 16th, and that kind of dives down into the Four Corners region and kind of nudges its way eastward into the Central Plains. And we also have that welcomed with a drier pattern, so you'll be able to enjoy those temperatures not only in towards next week, but even the week to follow, with a lot of below normal precipitation going through that 16th of April. So definitely a welcome sight to enjoy a lot of those spring temperatures across the west and the middle of the country by the time we get into the second and third week in April. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. If you guys liked the video, press the thumbs up down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Monday, everybody. A great rest of your week, and I will see you all in the next video.